everybody, and welcome back to the United Stand. It is Ruben Amorim's first press conference of the new Premier League season, and the Premier League is back. Manchester United are back, hopefully better than ever. We have some great news coming out of the press conference. Benjamin Sesko is fit to start. Little bit of frustrating injury news in the fact that Mazroui is out. He's been injured for quite a long time now, but Joshua Zirkzee is back. Andre Onana is also back. Ruben Amorim's been speaking about his midfield. Bruno Fernandes, positional discipline. Mason Mount playing in the midfield as well. If he's not got his midfielder so far, so could you see Mason Mount play in the midfield? Could you see a different midfielder in there? All questions that were asked to Ruben Amorim. Also a question about Rasmus Hojlund and his future that Ruben Amorim seemed to answer very, very quickly and want to move on from. So there's a lot to discuss. And obviously we're playing Arsenal. We are playing Arsenal at Old Trafford on Sunday. What a way to kick off the Premier League season. I honestly cannot wait. Tonight, I hope all your FPL teams are locked in. We have Liverpool against Bournemouth at 8 p.m. and we've just got the weekend of Premier League football, and I can't wait to get into it. I'm so excited. I'm speaking so quickly. It's a clean slate for everyone, and yeah, getting your predictions, getting your thoughts down in the comments as well. Let's go. Sesko is the comment that is coming in to the live chat. Let's go, Sesko. Every little helps. Sesko. I've seen that was someone's FPL name. What do you think of that one? But let's get into the first positive quote that has come out, and it is from Ruben Amorim that Benjamin Sesko, Andre Onana and Joshua Zirkzee are all contenders to start. Doesn't mean they're going to start, but what it does mean is that Benjamin Sesko is fit enough to start. He knows Amorim's tactical system. He knows what Amorim wants from him. He is fit enough to start on Sunday. How exciting is that? Joshua Zirkzee, who I think is going massively under the radar, is back fit. I mean, he's not played any pre-season games. He had a couple of injury issues. He's back and he's fit enough to start, according to Ruben Amorim. I don't think he will, but the fact he's actually back fit is really good. And I think people have sort of forgotten about Joshua Zirkzee. Him coming off the bench is going to be such a boost for us. Say if we did start with Benjamin Sesko, being able to bring Joshua Zirkzee on, who, before he got injured, was in a great spell of form, was adapting to the Premier League, got to grips with this team, got to grips with this system, was probably one of our most positive players, had great link-up play, was a proper baller, honestly, he was. And he just needed to get a few more shots off on goal, but he really was starting to come into his own. So to have him ready and available is exciting as well. And then you also have the fact that Andre Onana is back ready to start. I mean, it's good because we've not signed a keeper. But at the same time, I think it puts the fear into a lot of people. There will be people in this chat that would rather start Bayindir. There will be people in it that are watching right now that would rather start Tom Heaton. To be honest with you, I could flip a coin. I don't think we have a starting keeper that fills me with all the confidence in the world, which he should have in Manchester United. But he is back. Hopefully he's match fit, because you've got to be sharp and you've got to be ready, because we are going to be facing shots against Arsenal for sure. Swipe FC said, don't gas Zirkzee up like that. Zirkzee's good. I genuinely do believe that Zirkzee's good, and I think he'll show that again on Sunday, because I do think he'll get some minutes. Rasmus Hojlund's not going to play any minutes. Honestly, let's see if he's even part of the squad, because Ruben Amorim had a very interesting answer on him. It's either going to be this. It's either going to be he starts off the way we kind of ended the pre-season against Fiorentina, with Cunha and Bruno kind of floating between that number 9 spot, and Mason Mount's going to play. Or you're going to start off with Sesko. And if Sesko starts, which I really kind of hope he does, just because he's exciting. It's so super exciting, isn't it? If he starts, Rasmus Hojlund ain't seen any minutes, because Joshua Zirkzee will come off the bench if he's fit enough. I think Ruben Amorim's probably trying to push Rasmus Hojlund towards the exit door. Rasmus Hojlund believes that he can fight for his spot. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. We had Ben Jacobs on the show yesterday, and he mentioned that United really have the upper hand, because we've got 2 weeks of the window left and we've got games. We've got Arsenal on Sunday, we've got Fulham next week. If he leaves Hojlund out of both of them games, it kind of forces Hojlund into thinking, you know what, I actually do want to play football this season, and I'm going to have to go and make that move. So it will be interesting. Get your comments in, get your chats in, what you think about Ruben Amorim has had to say. Ham09 says, join, risk everything, FPL league code. And he's put his league code in there, $500 prize. I'm saving that. I'm taking a picture of that. $500, easy money, free money. It's a free win for me. Honestly, I'm coming for everyone on FPL this year. My FPL league is out on my Twitter and I've posted it on my Instagram story as well if you want to get involved as well. We also have the fact that Nusa Mazroui and Lisandro Martinez aren't available to face Arsenal on Sunday. It wasn't going to happen. Lisandro Martinez is making his comeback, is individually training on grass. Honestly, I saw something the other day about how many minutes Mazroui played. I think he played way more minutes for Manchester United in one season than what he did for Bayern Munich in the amount of time that he was there. He played near enough every minute last season. He put his body on the line for Manchester United continuously, and he's probably, unfortunately, feeling the effects of that now. He is injured still. I hope he gets back fit soon because I think he's one of our better players. A great leader, great player, technically good, gives you a solid performance every single week. Let's hope he gets back in time. But thankfully, you know, we have Lenny Yoro who's come into his own. Maguire's played well. De Ligt's fit. We have Aiden Heaven who's looking better. Luke Shaw is fit currently. So we do have centre-backs that can play in that spot for now. But Mazroui would be my starter. He'd be my starting right-sided centre-back if everyone was fit. So it is a miss. Speaking about Benjamin Sesko again, Ruben Amorim said on whether Benjamin Sesko could start against Arsenal, we didn't have a lot of time, but he is ready. Physically, he is ready. He's ready to play. We will see if he's going to start. So he's had a full pre-season. He's ready to play. It gives me sort of feelings and indications that he might start. Gyökeres versus Sesko. Absolutely love to see it. Me and Maud were speaking about this just before I went live, and do you remember that game when like Messi and Ronaldo scored 2 each? Like, I'm not comparing Gyökeres and Sesko to Messi and Ronaldo, but Gyökeres was, like, everyone thought he was coming to United and everyone thought Sesko was going to Arsenal. To have that competition, opening game of the season at Old Trafford, both of them starting, it would be like very, very good watching, exciting watching. So let's hope on that one. Let's run a poll actually on that. Do you think Sesko will start? Do you think Sesko will start on Sunday? Amorim spoke about Rasmus Hojlund as well. I watched this. The quote maybe doesn't do it justice, but I watched it on my laptop when we were watching the press conference. And he said, he is one more option we will see, and Rasmus is still our player. He answered it very quickly and didn't want to say much. To me, it gave off the vibe of he isn't going to get any minutes. He's going to need to go because I want the money to bring in somebody else. That's the vibe it gave me. I honestly actually respect Rasmus for maybe wanting to fight for his place and thinking he can get into this team. You know, you only usually get one chance to play for your boyhood club, the biggest club in the world. But if the manager isn't going to play you and the club advising you to move on, sometimes you've just got to think, you know what? I'm going to go and play football and I'm going to prove everyone wrong. I'm going to go and absolutely smash it, and in a couple of years' time, another massive team's going to come in for me and you're going to regret pushing me out of the club. But he's had 2 years at the football club. You've got to make an impact in 2 years. And Omar Baradi did say when he came in, if you've not made an impact in 2 years, we are going to look to move you on. So he's kind of following through with his words. He spoke a lot about Benjamin Sesko, which was exciting because this guy, like, honestly, this is going to be our striker. Hopefully, fingers crossed, if all goes well, this is going to be our striker for the next. It could be our striker for the next decade. Like he could be. That could happen. If he fulfills his potential, that could absolutely happen. So it's exciting that we're hearing these things come out about Benjamin Sesko. And he said, physically he's ready. A big component in our league is physicality. Then he is really smart. Every detail he asks, he's always thinking, we will see if he starts. Again, he says, we will see if he starts. Bigging him up, saying he's physically ready to face the Premier League. Super smart. Talks about him always asking questions. And Amorim said it's not even just him asking questions all the time. He's asking smart questions and he likes it. He also said that, when I was watching the presser, that he doesn't worry about him knowing what he has to do at United. He said, if anything, it goes the opposite way. If anything, I'm going to need to tell him, have a little bit of a break. go and enjoy some free time because he's so focused. He's so hungry to be the best. Already in his first week at Carrington, he's in Carrington every day. He's here all day. He's doing extra training. You know, he's staying, eating, having his lunch at Carrington. He's going to the gyms. He's there all the time. He's asking questions. He's really hungry to be the best. Right, I'm not even just saying this, but that reminds you, I'm not saying he's anywhere close to, but that reminds you of the Ronaldo mentality. And then players go far. So, of course, you know, we've got to see his talent. We've got to see if he can do it on the football pitch. And he has got to adapt to the Premier League. But having a new player come in with that mentality, knowing you are going to have to put your body on the line every single week to play for this club, knowing it's do or die every single week, knowing how much of a privilege it is to play for this football club and going above and beyond to make yourself the best version of yourself and deliver as the striker of this football club, is good to hear as a fan. And obviously that's going to put him in Ruben Amorim's good books. And it sounds like the amount of times he said, let's see if he starts, he might well start. He might well start at the weekend. We've also got, we've got a bit of an update on Carlos Baleba as well. I've accidentally just sent a message to Mods that wasn't meant to go to Mods. Sorry, Mods. I know, as I was reading WhatsApp, I got that excited. I pressed send on a message I weren't meant to send. But anyway, quickly to interject the press conference, we've still got more quotes coming out from Ruben Amorim, but we have a little bit of news, an update on Carlos Baleba from Romano. Do you know what? He timed it perfectly because I was just about to speak about Amorim's next quotes, which was if he's happy with his midfield and the possibility of Mason Mount playing there and the rest of the squad, how he's going to work it. So, this is the update from Fabrizio Romano on Carlos Baleba. He said this from Give Me Sport. Numbers are not yet clear, but Manchester United want to try for sure. Baleba would be keen at the moment, but Brighton insist on keeping Carlos. So, it's sort of like what he's already said, but the reason why it's good that he said it again now is because this morning you've had reports from Samuel Luckhurst at the MEN. We had reports last night from Laurie Whittle at the Athletic basically saying, you know, it's going to be really difficult to do this. And I think the reports this morning from Samuel Luckhurst basically said United would be prepared to wait till next summer and could walk away. And they might well do that. But that kind of killed my optimism, to be honest. This morning I was like, oh, is that Man United going to Brighton, realising it's going to be massively expensive and thinking, let's put it out there that actually we can wait for next summer. But now Fabrizio Romano will have seen them stories, you know, and he's still going out there and saying the numbers aren't clear yet, but United are going to try. They're definitely going to try. Baleba will be keen. Brighton do insist. There's going to be briefs coming out both from Brighton and Manchester United right now on this story, and each club are going to try and spin it in a certain way. Brighton are going to put it out there they're not selling because they want the highest possible price for Baleba, and they probably don't want to sell till next year, so they're going to be massively pushing, no, we're not selling. Man United are putting it out there that they want to do this deal, but they also want to be respectful to Brighton because you don't want to annoy Brighton and make everything super public if you are going to have to wait till next year and you've got other competitors to compete with, other big clubs. So, and also United don't want to look stupid. They don't want to be out there saying, we're going for Baleba, everyone get excited, we're getting Baleba, and then us actually not being able to pull off the deal because Brighton just want absolutely crazy money that we can't physically offer. You know, Chelsea are going to hopefully buy Garnacho. Anthony and Sancho most recently, are probably going to go. But you can't be absolutely definitely sure. So you can't put it out there that, you know, United are bidding this for Baleba, they're definitely going to get him. But the fact Romano, who has been obviously super reliable for a very long time, is saying that we still definitely want to try, gives me that belief. It gives me the belief in Baleba. I am still a Baleba. This morning, I was a little bit like, I might not be as hopeful. But now Romano's given us a good update. I'm in the Baleba camp now, so I've got to remain in it. I've got to remain in it. Caleb says 100% won't get him next summer. Justin Brown says, just move on to other targets. Sick to death of this Baleba deal. It won't happen. Just get that into your heads. Goalkeeper now. Come on, United. Justin, do you know what it is? It's Baleba or nothing. And I truly do believe this. I keep hearing people say, We've got 2 weeks left of the window. Like, we need to give up on Baleba. It's going to cost over 100 million. Brighton are difficult to deal with. We're not going to get this deal done. I've heard that over and over again. If we don't get Brighton, we're not going to sign Brighton. If we don't get Baleba, I believe we're not going to sign a midfielder. If we don't get Baleba, we're going to go for him next summer. Because Cunha was on last year's financial year. Baleba, what we're doing to try and get him this summer is taking money from next summer's budget. That's what we're doing. We're thinking to ourselves, you know, we might sell next summer. We have Casemiro leaving, who's on 350 grand a week. Saudi might come back in for Bruno and he might decide he wants to go at that point. We might sell again. We're going to take the money that we planned for Baleba for next summer and do it now. So if we can't get Baleba now and we decide we want to go for another midfielder, you're eating into that 100 million that we have to spend on Baleba. Because whether we get Baleba now, whether we get him next summer, it's going to be 100 million. It's going to be expensive. So if you thought we can't get Baleba now, we'll just go and buy a 50 million midfielder, you've taken 50 million out of the budget that could have gone towards Baleba next year. So if we don't get Baleba, I truly don't believe we get another midfielder unless it's maybe a loan. But I think United are sort of out of doing them sort of deals. So I genuinely do think it is Baleba or nothing. We have Jens Williams says, do United Stand have a fantasy league? I don't think we do currently, but that's something I'll try and get set up actually and get over our socials today. We should do. Oh, we do have one. I think we do have one. I think if we're gonna put it in the chat. We do have an FPL league. I wasn't completely aware of it, but we do have an FPL league. There's quite a few FPL leagues going around, so we are gonna put it in the chat now. Shaned O'Donnell says, hey Beth, do you think the 2-year rule applies to Mason Mount, or do you think it depends if you're likes? It does worry me. Shaned, people aren't going to like this, but I'll always say my opinion. It is different between Mason Mount and Rasmus Hojlund. Reason being, at least I know Robert McCormack's going to back me up. Mason Mount showed glimpses of what he's done in the past. Mason Mount came into Manchester United as a Champions League winner, being super important in that Champions League winning season. Been Player of the Year at Chelsea, I think, twice, or definitely multiple times. And he suffered with a lot of injuries, unfortunately, that's kept him out of the game. He's finally got to a place at United, touch wood, where he's not been injured for a decent portion of time. And you're actually starting to see, I still don't think we're anywhere near where he was and where he can be, but we're starting to see why we brought him in. His pressing is fantastic. In that Fiorentina game, I thought he was man of the match, in my opinion. I thought he was great. He looked pretty good towards the back end of last season. Apart from the Europa League final, I thought he had a stinker, but in other games, I thought he was looking more lively. And he's, you know, if you've suffered with injury for 2 years, you're not going to be back spick and span straight away. It is going to affect you. But the thing is with Mason Mount is he's shown glimpses and he's got a CV to back it up. And he's had injuries. So realistically, he's actually had barely any games to prove himself. Hojlund's been fit and ready for 2 years, and that's credit to him for staying fit. And we know, you know, he works hard behind the scenes. We know his mentality is great. Mason Mount's mentality is great. Sometimes you just get injured. But with Hojlund, he's played a lot of games. And if anything, he's gone backwards. And I really wanted it to work with him. And I still do believe there is a player in there. So I don't want to go proper in on Hojlund. But last year was just unacceptable as a Manchester United striker. I know the whole team was. But it just was. And he came in with a bit of promise. But he's just not hit the ground running. And unfortunately for Hojlund, he doesn't have, because he's young, he doesn't have that CV behind him to be like, yeah, but look at what he could be like. The only thing he has is the first season. And even in the first season, despite the fact I think his overall game was better, he didn't score a goal until Boxing Day in the Premier League. Like, he needs, I think there is raw potential there with Rasmus Hojlund. I think there is a player there, but he needs a good coach that is going to put a lot of time into him. And I think he needs a less pressurised environment than Manchester United. But I do think there is a lot more to come from Rasmus Hojlund, and I think there is a better future out there for him. It's sad it's not going to be United, and he didn't get the chance to play with Cunha and Mbeumo if he does go. But he just didn't do enough in the time that he had. A few more super chats. Robert McCormack says, Mbumo versus Sesko for a starting spot. Surely will be Mount. Mbumo starts over Mount, Robert. I'm sorry. You know I'm a Mount fan, but Mbumo absolutely starts. All I know is Mbumo absolutely starts. No doubt about that. Right, let me read a few more of these quotes out as well. We have Amorim on his expectations for the season. We want to return to Europe. We have to be realistic with our fans. We'll have to fight a lot because there are more teams with time together than us. We have to focus game by game. We want to win against Arsenal. He also said in that it's difficult to say, you know, your expectation is Europe as United manager because we should be going to win the league. But he says we've got to be realistic. And he kept saying, you can't do everything you want to do in 4 weeks. You can't fix everything in 4 weeks. And I think he was sort of alluding to he's done the most he can in pre-season with the team, but he still has more work to be done with the current team. But I also think he means in rebuilding this team. We've not managed to get a midfielder in. That he's not going to come out in the press conference and say, I've been ringing up Sir Jim every day and saying, get me a midfielder now. But we had Ben Jacobs on the show yesterday who said that Ruben Amorim has been very bullish behind the scenes saying, go and get me a midfielder. Go and get me Baleba with the intensity, with the physicality. So Ruben Amorim isn't entirely happy with the squad, even if he says he is. But the good news is that he's mentioned that we are absolutely better and we are absolutely more confident now. He's mentioned that. So that's a good thing to see about what Ruben Amorim said is he's more confident in winning games. He does think we've got a better chance. But he's also saying to the fans, we've still got more to do. Without saying it, I still need a midfielder. And the team still does need a little bit of work. So, but he says we're training better, we're much fitter, he's much more confident. So that's a good thing. Amorim got asked about preparing for Victor Gyökeres and, you know, obviously the time he had with him at Sporting where he basically, you know, helped get his career to where it's at now, Victor Gyökeres. And Amorim said, the question is for Mikel Arteta. Victor is in a different league. Sporting have a good scouting because they live from the players they can buy and sell to survive. I think he's a very good player. It's not a surprise to see him with a big club in England. So giving Gyökeres a bit of praise there, but also mentioning, you know, he's going to have to adjust to the Premier League. It's different from Sporting, as he well found out last season. We also have Amorim on if Mason Mount can do a job in the midfield. So what he actually got asked is, we don't have a nailed down midfield right now. There's been talks about him wanting a midfielder, but is there anyone out of your current squad who could step into that position that you haven't tried there really? And he said maybe Mason Mount is a player who can play in that position if we want something different. But we have the players to cope and win games in the Premier League. He's a big fan of Mason Mount, Ruben Amorim. It's interestingly, and I know for a fact my daddy's going to ring me up after this show because he watches. Love you, Dad. He's going to ring me up after this show and say, I told you, because I was speaking to my dad after the Fiorentina game and my dad said to me, I really think, you know, Mason Mount could actually do a job in that pivot. Like, I think he could play in the pivot. And I was like, no, he's not going to play in the pivot. And he was like, why? He's energetic. You know, he's quick in the tackle. He's good on the ball. He doesn't lose possession. I think he could play there. And I was like, Dad, he's not going to play there. I was like, he's not going to play there because it's one of the most demanding positions in Ruben Amorim's system. And the guy has really struggled to stay fit. You need someone consistent in that midfield that, you know, is going to be able to play every game, can play 90 minutes, is robust, isn't injury prone, you know, can deal with the physical demands of playing that role. And I was like, Mason Mount just can't do that. I said, you know, I love Mason Mount. I think he's a quality player. But I think he's going to be a super sub all season. And I think that's a good thing. I think he will start games, but then he'll get subbed off. I don't think Mason Mount, if we want to keep him fit after all the injuries he's had, can play full 90 minutes. But I don't think that's a bad thing. And some people say, you've got to have a number 7 that can play these games. And I get that. But it's a squad game. And, you know, against Arsenal, if he doesn't start, which I won't be surprised if he did, because he had a good end to the pre-season. But if he doesn't start, looking to your bench and being able to bring Mason Mount on is a massive upgrade to what we've previously had. You know, starting the game with Mason Mount and then looking to the bench and being able to bring either Cunha and Mbeumo on or Xerxes, again, is a massive upgrade to what we've previously had. I mean, I can't imagine a world where Cunha and Mbeumo are on the bench, to be fair, but still, like, it could happen because we've got depth now. Bringing Xerxes off the bench is a huge upgrade because Xerxes, I mean, I was dying for him to start in that Europa League final. I was praying he was fit. I wanted him to be fit every game towards the back end of last season because we had no one else and he was probably one of our better attacking players. So to have good players now that you can bring on to affect games is going to be good for us. And he was like, Beth, I bet you he plays in the pivot at some point next season. So maybe he's actually going to end up being right on that one. Do you think Mason Mount could play in the pivot? Let me know. Amorim said on last season, I learned a lot last season. I don't need to focus on the future. That doesn't matter and I don't care. I need to live day by day. Everything that is noise to our team, I take out of the picture. So I just prepare my team against Arsenal. What it felt like from Ruben Amorim watching this presser as well is it felt like to me that Ruben Amorim has learnt from last season to maybe hold some cards close to his chest. I mean, we all loved how open and honest Ruben Amorim was in a lot of pressers last season. And I don't think he would ever lie. I think he just wouldn't say everything that's maybe on his mind. I don't think we're in a situation with Amorim where this season you're just going to get, you know, all sunshine and rainbows and really PR-based answers, which we have seen before. I don't think you get that. I think he'll always be honest. But last season, I think maybe sometimes he'll have reflected on that. I think, was I too honest? Did that bring more noise around my team when I didn't need it? Did that bring more noise around me when I didn't need it? Whereas now, I think he will still be honest and he'll still say what he thinks, but I think some things he'll just won't say, which he might have said last year. I think that's what he means about noise. For example, the midfielder. He got asked about a midfielder and he said he's happy with his current plays and didn't even speak about it one bit. But he still said, in a very clever way, because he's a clever guy, you can't do everything in 4 weeks. Like, we're ready and I'm more confident, but not everything is good. And that hints that I need a bit more. So he has a way of doing it. He did it over in America as well in some of the interviews he did. He has a way of alluding to things he wants now without outright saying it and causing a massive headline around him and his press conference. So I do think you'll see him be maybe a little bit more reserved in some of his answers. This I thought was actually a really good question. I can't remember who asked it. It might have been Rich Fay, but I thought it was a really good question. He got asked about Bruno Fernandes, and he basically asked him, you've said we need to get Bruno closer to the box so we can have an impact, but you've brought in Cunha and Mbeumo, and it looks like Bruno's going to play in the midfield pivot. So are you expecting him to still advance and get near the box? How is that going to work? And Amorim answered it like this. He said, even last season, when he played as a midfielder, he was the player who had more shots near the box. So I think it's a good position. Let me redo that. So I think it's a good thing for Bruno to stay in one position during training. So he said even last season when he played as a midfielder, he was the player who had more shots near the box. So I think it's a good thing for Bruno to stay in one position during training. He's going to play deep. I don't think he'll play deep every single minute of every single game, but he's versatile. He can play as a false nine if he wanted to. He can play in the 10s and he can play deep in the midfield. I think he'll play the most amount of minutes in the midfield pivot. He's going to. Amorim did it in the pre-season. He predominantly played him in the midfield pivot. He did it in the Europa League final. He did it towards the back end of last season. He has a vision, and his vision, whether you agree with it or not, and I'm on the fence about it, I'm not going to lie. I don't think any United fan is 100% sold with Bruno in the midfield pivot. I'm hoping it's going to work with harder workers and runners in front of him with Cunha and Mbeumo. But it is going to be difficult to keep a compact shape with Bruno there. I believe that. Is the biggest Bruno fan. I think we've still got to be sold on this. But I think Amorim again is stating he is going to play in the midfield too. that's my plan, that's my vision, and I think that's what we can expect. I think he'll rotate maybe in games and when substitutions happen, but that's what I would expect. What I thought was interesting is I think it's a good thing for Bruno to stay in one position during training. I can't read into it too much, but to me, that alludes to positional discipline. Stay in your position. If you play in the midfield, of course, if the team are getting forward, press, get forward, get near the box. But don't leave your position all the time. Don't go try and play in every single position. We've seen this before from Bruno. Sometimes it can be like, he's all over the place. He's like a wasp. Like he's everywhere. And I think previously it's because he's not trusted other players in their positions on the pitch to do their jobs properly. We've got a new front three now. We are improving. I think Bruno's got to trust his teammates, and I think what Amorim's saying is, if you're playing in one position, stay there and play that position to the best of your ability and play well, because Bruno is, just so you know what my thoughts are, I think he's absolutely capable of playing in the midfield pivot. I think he's capable of it. It's whether he's got the discipline to do it. I think he's capable of doing it successfully against any team. Even the Man Cities, even the teams that are going to give you a game and seriously, attack you, I think he's capable of doing it. It's whether he's got the positional discipline to do it. Because we've seen games in the past where he's played deep and he's kept it super simple, he's stayed relaxed, and I thought, wow, he's had a great game. But we've seen games where he gets frustrated, he starts running all over the shop, and he leaves his position, and then you get caught. And no matter who you have there, you could have prime Kante, they'd still be in trouble being in the midfield on their own as one guy. So it's just whether he can change his ways, and I think it's tough. I think it's tough when, he's played a certain way for a long time to ask him to be a little bit different. But what me and Maud have spoken about, and I think this is true, for Portugal, he plays in a different way. For Portugal, he plays in a midfield three and he stays disciplined. So he can do it. He is capable of it. International football is different. You've got Mark Munda there saying Bruno is an old dog. You can't change his game. But for Portugal, he can play in a disciplined way. And I think he's been fantastic for Portugal in that position. So I think he's capable of it. Let's see if he can do it. Let's see. Keep voting on the poll as well and whether you think Sesko will start. I'm going to do a little vote on that now. I have a feeling he will, Let's see what you guys say. Last little bits of stuff to bring in. We have Amorim got a follow-up question on Sesko asking him questions. He said, I really like that, especially when it's smart questions. He listens and he wants to perform, so that is very good. And then he got asked about his attacking options, because that's where we've spent our money this summer in the transfer window, in the attacking options. He said, first of all, we have more than 3, Cunha, Mbeumo and Sesko. So they are all fighting for their places. But I'm really happy. I think he has great potential. In everything he does, he can play different types of football. He will fill the Premier League. He's very aggressive. He's going to learn and he has great potential. So that's on Sesko there at the end. But it's interesting that he said Cunha and Mbeumo and Sesko, they've been brought in, but they're all still fighting for their places because we still have, other forwards that can play them roles as well. And like I said, it's good to have that squad there. It's good to have, look into your bench and not thinking, we actually can't use a sub today because our bench is that poor. Do you remember, again, no disrespect because, the bloodline of this club is the academy, but do you remember when we went to Spurs away? Was it last season? And I don't think there was I think there was one senior player on the bench, and I think it was like Christian Eriksen or Victor Lindelof. But now, if Cunha and Mbeumo and Sesko are starting and everyone's fit, you've still got Mount, you've got Xerxes, you've got Mainu who can play there, Ahmad can play there, Bruno can even play there. You've got options, which is exciting. And then he got asked about a potential midfield signing. He said, like I alluded to before, about how he's going to keep some cards close to his chest. He said, I'm really happy with our players. They are working really well and we have players in that position. So we are prepared to win any game with our players. Does he really mean that, though? According to Ben Jacobs, who we had on the show yesterday, he's in meetings and ringing up Sir Jim saying, get me a midfielder now. So what he might say in a presser might be a little bit different to the conversations he's having behind the scenes. Robert McCormack said, we have to stay in the game. It's a gamble starting Sesko. Jens Williams, thank you for your super chat. Is it a gamble starting Sesko? Is it? I mean, do you guys think it's a gamble starting Sesko? I can hear it. Maud's is producing. I can hear it all through my thing. I'm going to have to take out. Is it a gamble starting Sesko? I don't think it is. You've brought him in for a reason. We need a top-level striker starting up front. You know, Sesko, you'd like to think he can be that top-level striker. We have the votes on the poll. Yes, 81%. No, 19%. So 81% of you think he's going to start. Let's see. Well, let's go. I do this on my pressers often, and because it's the first game of the Premier League for Manchester United, let's do it. Starting 11-wise, it's going to be... Sesko is going to be a big decider in a number of positions, whether he starts or not. I'm just going to take a punt on this. And if you've not seen the preview prediction show for the whole season that I did with Ricky and Mods that went out the other day, make sure you go and check that out on the United Stand. It's fantastic. Ricky with some wild shouts, Mods and Ricky getting heated. We all said what our starting 11 would be for Arsenal. But I'm just going to take a little bit of a stab at it. I think it's going to be Onana in goal. Might be Bindy, but I think it'll be Onana. I think it'll be a back three of Luke Shaw, De Ligt and Yoro. Could be Maguire instead of De Ligt, but that's what I think the back three will be. I think your wing backs will be Dorgu and Ahmad. I think your midfield two will be Bruno and Casemiro. I think your two number 10s will be Cunha and Mbeumo, and I think your striker will be Sesko. If Sesko doesn't start, I think Mason Mount will come into the team. If Sesko doesn't start, he then has another question. Is Mason Mount going to play like he did against Fiorentina, or is he going to put Dalot at wing back instead of Ahmad and play Ahmad in the 10s? So many questions that we're going to get the answer to on Sunday. But look, everyone, that was a presser, the first of many of the Premier League season. I mean, let's hope and pray that Manchester United have a good Premier League season. It's a fresh start. It's a clean slate. I'm going with score predictions, by the way. I'm going with 3-1 United. I'm on the positive train right now. I'm going 3-1 United. A lot of people have been telling me they think it's going to be a draw. Let's see. Tom McBride said Sesko's first start should be Grimsby. Ease him in. You don't go out there and pay, £66 million to start someone only against Grimsby to ease him in. Like, I think if he doesn't start tomorrow, he's gonna come off the bench for sure. He'll put Cunha up front, said Big Gang. Andre says Dalot right wing back. But look, everyone, it's in the chat, the United Stand FPL code. If you also want to join my league as well, it's out on my Instagram and my Twitter. If you want to go in, my Twitter's at BethTMUFC. I think most of you will know that it's on there, so go and join it. Make sure you stay across all of our socials to see any other videos and content that's coming out. There's been so much content recently, and it's been fantastic. Everyone's just super excited for the Premier League season. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. I know Mark also did his Premier League predictions video on That's Football the other day. If you've not watched that yet, which I'm sure most of you have, but if you've not, go and watch it. It's always good to kind of see what everyone's thinking, so then you can go and laugh at them as well at the end of the season. Me and Ricky did a little tit-tot predicting the Premier League table the other night as well. That was good. So go and check everything out. Thank you for watching, everyone. Smash a like on the video, and I will see you for the build-up show on Sunday.